Hi, how are you? I'm Zita, your guiding luminary. Thank you for joining me today. As you know, I'm a life coach, and what I wanted to do today is have my dear guest, Tina, join us to talk about life, work challenges, and balances and boundaries we need to respect. I've known Tina, oh my gosh, it's got to be about 13 to 14 years. When we met, she was a little fresh student still at Concordia University. I had written a children's novel and I was looking for an art director, and I ended up getting up with Tina and we collaborated on the project. I still have yet to get the book published, but we have had a beautiful relationship since then. On my journey, Tina helped me develop all my creative, my brochures, my logos, my websites, and we'll share about that a little bit more. But what I wanted to do is to focus on Tina. Her full name is Tina MAILHOT-ROBERGE. We met here in Montreal, and she's the art director of her firm, and she's been doing this since she graduated. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Zita. Well, as you have very kindly introduced, I'm Tina. I'm the founder of Vervex. It is a art direction / marketing / e-commerce company. It started very humbly in Montreal. Now I'm in Texas. So I went quite around, got clients in Canada and America, right now mostly in the United States. But sometimes European projects once in a while pop in. So what I do now is I help small and medium businesses grow. Typical type of thing that I do on a day-to-day basis is, let's say a small business wants to launch products, right? Or has a creative project and they don't know where to begin. They are like, well, I have this vision. Can someone please help me make it real, make it concrete? So we come in, we're like, okay, what is it that you have that you would like to do? We're going to build you a website. Maybe it's going to be an e-commerce store. You're going to be able to place your products in a strategic way on your website, cast it to an audience online so that you find your crowd and you're able to sell what it is you're trying to sell. Over the last few years, we've gone from, well, a bit of everything, basically. And we have found a little niche in the skincare and wellness industry. That's been a real blessing to work on projects that you can see it impacts people's lives positively in concrete ways, right? Because let's say you help someone in cybersecurity. I mean, it's a cool field, but you don't really, you're helping people, but you don't get that same like, oh, this thing changed my life. Cybersecurity changed my life. It's not as much as somebody who said, oh, I tried yoga. I found this yoga studio thanks to the new website or new store, whatever it is. And it completely transformed the relationship I have with my mind, my body, and my soul. And being able to take part of this aspect of business with the people we help has been a real blessing. It's been a really nice game changer. And it's very inspiring.
I remember when we first started out our careers, I embarked on a new direction when I left my job at a large corporation. So I started and founded Zita Marketing. So of course, naturally, Tina joined me. So she was responsible for my logo, the design, the colors, and then she helped me build my website. She did all the graphics, the colors, and like she's phenomenal. We also did brochures and whatnot. Social media branding was really great as well. And then we used that as a selling opportunity to go get clients together. And I remember we kind of went all over the place getting different clients to do different things. And I think in time, both of us have come to, I'm not going to say full circle. It just seems a wiggle more that we're kind of doing something together, but we naturally have gone into a different direction. And as a consultant before, I realized no matter how great my projects would be or how well the plans were laid out, if the manager wasn't comfortable or secure in his or herself, the projects wouldn't come to fruition. So that's why in the last 5 to 7 years, I've kind of gone into the coaching field. And that took me a while too as well. And I've rebranded again, and Tina's helping me with that. So I'll probably be launching a new logo very soon. The colors might change. My website has changed in the last 6 to 8 months. And yeah, it's a journey. And what I wanted to do today is talk about this journey that many women and of course men go through, where we need to find new balances, new directions, and focus. Sometimes we focus more on family, or then we have to focus on work. And then even when we're with our work, we tend to do different things, and that can cause some kind of stress. So what I wanted to do today is talk about being able to find a harmony between work and personal life and setting those boundaries. And I know you've gone through this as well, Tina. Perhaps you want to share about some of your experiences, one of them being moving to another country.
Right. So it's a really good topic that I love talking about is healthy boundaries, because I'm going to generalize here, but as women in general, studies have demonstrated that we're more likely to sacrifice ourselves for external problems, sometimes problems that are not even our own to solve, whether it's family, friends, work, children. We get bombarded with requests, and we are more likely to throw our dreams and our ambitions under the bus to help others. I think there's something beautiful in that we are generally so giving. I think it's an archetype of the divine mother or the woman, you know, that is good, but it also has a dark side. So we don't want necessarily also becoming like these people that are obsessed with work or obsessed with money above all else, because that is the other side, the other dark side, the dark side of the masculine aspect, which is obsessed with the external world in a sense that is physical, not even emotional at that point. So how do you find balance? And you've mentioned I moved to the United States several years ago, we just left, right? I had a business in Montreal, but it was doing so. Honestly, it was like, you know how it is when you have your own business and it goes through waves, up and down. And my husband is American, had been living with me in Canada for a few years. And we decided, let's just go for it. You know, like, let's just make the leap of faith. I had a calling. I felt like it was going to work better in America. So we moved to Austin, Texas. We left with 2 luggages, our 2 cats. That's it.
I remember when you were going through the decluttering process, that was quite the experience. That's hard.
Hard. Yeah, you have to kind of start over because you have some clients in Canada, but suddenly you're in a new market. And it was, okay, so I have all these skills. I have all these, this experience. How can I leverage it? How can I help myself this time to bring that forward? And when you move to a new place, you have new responsibilities, your lifestyle change, whatever happens, whatever type of life changes you go through, basically where I'm trying to go to reach as a point is that you have to make time for yourself, not just work, but also taking care of yourself. And that's where healthy boundaries come in.
Absolutely.
Because you could get completely swallowed into work as well. You could say, I have to bootstrap my business. Are you going to spend 60 hours or 80 hours a week and sleep 5 or 4 hours a night? Sure, there are some people that thrive doing that. Maybe me. I need my 8 hours. I need my 8 hours. If I get less than 6 hours, you don't want to talk to me. I'm not a good person.
That comes out.
Yeah. So you need to really make time for that, even when the whole world is chaotic. You have your ship and yourself, and you're sailing those waters, those stormy waters. You still got to take care of yourself so that you can go through that.
Yeah, always. Because I find as women, like you were saying earlier, even with clients, you meet them, you want to give, you can see where they're going, what they need. So you put yourself all out there, and then you say, oof, I'm tired. I need to step back a bit. And, you know, if you give too much, even as a coach, if I give too much, the person will not find his or her own solution, because part of being a coach is to entice the person to think of options that they wouldn't think of otherwise. And then you're not supposed to be telling them what to do, because that makes you a consultant. So there is that fine dance I'm always doing, you know. So I'm trying to coax, because I know where they could be going, where they should be going, but it's got to come from them, because when it comes from them, it's going to give them that drive that you and I have. That passion is going to come out, and they're going to want to like go for this dream. And this is where another kind of boundary comes in. It's a professional boundary. So like if you look at your clients, and I know you have this experience, they're starting something, you know what product they want to launch, and I know you're like a little creative genius. You already see the packaging, the colors, the logo, whereas your client is probably still looking at the actual product itself. So finding balances with your clients is so important, because it does impact you personally, because then again, it impacts your personal life and your professional life, and then your health. So it is important to find a nice medium where you can give somebody information, coach them or coax them in a certain way without giving yourself too much, because then you're going to be depleted. So the balance is not there, and they're not going to have their own spiritual growth, and they're not going to go towards a solution that's innate. It's going to be your solution, and that's not good because it's not going to work.
That's true. I think it's even more important when you have your own business, or maybe you work for someone and you live in you work in an environment where you work in teams, right? So you're going to get bombarded with many requests. If you have many clients, let's say you have 5, 10 accounts, you got to manage them all. And that's part of what I do. Client expectations, client communications, and I get the projects going. And there are some clients that I know that if I focus, let's say that I did what they wanted me to do, I would focus 100% of my time on them alone. Perhaps they would be successful even faster, but that's not possible, right? I'm one person. They've got their work to do as well. I don't want to run the business for them. By all means, if that's something that someone wants to do, okay, I'm going to abandon my business and work for you. That would be the final result, right? Somebody wants to do that. But you're trying, like you said, to help them. It's the same with your family, right? You can't live your children for them. You can't live your husband or wives or boyfriend or girlfriend's life for them. You have to be there to support, to do your work, to be responsible. But there's a limit of how much you can do, both for yourself and for them, for their benefit and your benefit.
Absolutely. And I mean, I have a child, and he's going to be 23 in a couple of weeks. And in my mind, I kind of know where I'd like him to go, but after finishing high school, I pushed him to go to Dawson, the CJEP here. And he only went because I wanted him to go. He was completely lost. But I thought, oh, I'll just put him there and, get a job and just do what you need to do to move on with your life. And you know what? He really didn't do well. He almost failed all his courses, and he left the school. And now, a couple of weeks ago, he announced he's going back. He's going back. I like your face. Because you know my son, you've met him too, right? Yeah. But you know what? He comes up to me and he says, Mom, I said, yes. He says, I need your advice. I said, oh, really? Exactly. Now, it's kind of hard for my son to come get my advice because I'm always telling him. So I step back and he says, yeah, I'm thinking of going back to school. So this is a Thursday night, say February 28th, I forget, or 27th, I forget the date it was. It was a Wednesday night, actually. He says, oh, I was thinking of going back to Concordia. I said, oh, good. I don't want to get too excited. So I said, well, what do you want to do? He says, well, I want to go back to school. I want to be like you. Oh. He says, I want to go into commerce. I want to go into marketing, just like you, Mom. And, it's a good thing I was sitting down. I would have fainted. It was really funny.
Adorable. I didn't know. He didn't tell me that. That's so cute.
No, I forgot. It's only been a couple of weeks. No, it's about a month now.
Wow.
So this is a Wednesday night. And then I just got on the computer, and I remember when I applied to university, which is where you went, right? Yes. And I think it was like March 1st or March 15th, the deadline. So this was a Wednesday, and there was an actually information session the next day. He scrambled to get his marks, his registration, his application. He worked on the weekend. I said, no, you got to do this. You go to the session, you do this. And I put down my foot. I was happy. The old Zita would have been doing it for him. I said, no, he's not 3, he's 23. So I set a boundary that he needed to take responsibility. And he was very excited, and he submitted that application on time. He got everything he needed. I'm so proud of him. And I know he's checking every day whether or not he got accepted.
I hope he does get accepted. And if he doesn't, I hope he doesn't give up and try again, because that's
exactly
super not to give up.
Not to give up, exactly. But at least now it came to him from him, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't come from me, because I was pushing, and I said, okay, I got to step back. And everybody being locked down in COVID, it probably was a good thing for him, because he got so bored out of his mind that he realized, I can't do this for the rest of my life. And he was motivated. So I'm happy. So there's an example that I had to step back and respect his boundaries as well, right? It wasn't just about me, it was about him as well, because he has to grow up and he has to make decisions, and he has to live by those decisions. And if he fails, those are his failures, which is an accomplishment, because at least he tried something on his own, and he did it with his own intentions, right? Because if I had told him to apply, he would have taken a year to make that application work, but he wanted to do it, and he got in. So I'll keep you posted if he gets in. So fingers crossed. It'd be great.
Right. Yeah, awesome day. I hope it works out for him. That's such a lovely story.
Yeah, so like I've been on my own now for about 14, 15 years, and setting boundaries is really not easy. And as you know, because you've been on this road with me and you know my personal story, I had challenges with my mom who was not well and she was ill. So I ended up actually having to stop to work to take care of her. And she passed a few years ago, and that was very, very difficult for me. But I know at that point I didn't have that opportunity to set stronger boundaries because she really needed me, but she did take up a lot of my time, but I knew she wouldn't be around. So consciously, unconsciously, I gave more that I would normally give to somebody else, but I managed that. I decided what I wanted to do and I set my priorities. It wasn't my mother or my brother or my sister, it was just me. And you know what? I'm glad I did what I did for her. She's gone, right? So now I can move on and I'm ready to move on to different projects.
I think it's really difficult when it's a situation like that. Those are the hardest ones when family is involved, to set healthy boundaries, because there are instances where you won't be able to hold a healthy boundary. When someone's sick, someone, you know, they're in their last years of life, somebody goes through an accident, somebody goes through a traumatic life event, they need more help than normal, and they just need it. There's nothing wrong with that. I think one of the most positive scenarios that can happen in these instances is to ask for help if it's available, but it's not always available. You mentioned you have siblings and maybe they did, maybe they didn't come through. I've seen it has happened in my own family as well. Elders that had Alzheimer's, and not everybody did what they should have done.
Yeah,
So
it's
then
hard.
the responsibility falls on the lap of one person, and that person ends up going in burnout. That would be an entirely different topic, but there is definitely a family societal responsibility to people in general, so that we don't end up with these situations. At the same time, perhaps if more people were aware of what healthy boundaries look like, what a healthy balanced lifestyle look like, we'd be more willing to help where it counts, and maybe people would be less self-centered about me, and be like, oh, this person actually needs me. Oh, I have these resources, I can help them. This is a great moment for me to come forward and share my love, my care, my time in a way that's healthy, so that there's not just one person ends up with 100% of the work, it splits.
Yeah. And the thing I find with boundaries, you can't just decide today, I'm going to be a mother and tomorrow I'm going to be a businesswoman and or a caregiver. Your days, they shuffle and they flip, the values change in terms of what you're going to be doing that day. It could be 100% for 6 months you're a caregiver, then 6 months you're a parent. It's just so hard to juggle sometimes. And I have clients who have that struggle. And so they feel guilty thinking, oh, I should be doing this for my parent or my child. And then you got to bring them back to balance. If you're not healthy, how can you give, right?
True. It's a good point. And I think when you are, there are times in life, everybody's life, my life, your life, anybody who's watching this, where you're going to be overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed with work right now. That's my personal challenge. I have more work than I ever dreamed of. But now I have this problem.
That's a big problem.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought it would be an awesome problem to have. But then when you're in it, you realize, oh, wait, that's overwhelming. What do I do now? Too much work, right? So anyway, I'm just going to take a step back and look at the situation a bit more generally. There are moments where you're going to be overwhelmed, and you still have to make time for yourself, even if it's taking 15 minutes a day. That's about you. Breathing exercises, meditation, skincare, healthcare. I don't care what it is. It could be yoga. It could be going for a run. It could be stretching. It could be anything that brings you true joy, not distraction, because distraction is going to be something that's just going to numb your mind, and you're not going to be dealing with yourself or making yourself feel better. When was the last time you felt better doom scrolling on Facebook? None of us do feel better doing that. No. Something that's really wholesome could be cooking a healthy meal as well. Could be knitting a shirt, for your cat, for your child, anything. Something that's creative or self-introspective that is going to bring you joy. Make the time for it. Sometimes you're going to have to negotiate that time. You have kids, they go to school, you got to wake up really early. Maybe morning won't work. Maybe for some people, waking up 15 minutes earlier makes sense, right? For others, it doesn't. Maybe their kid's going to wake them up every morning. In the night, while they're at school, find that time, carve that piece of the day for yourself. Move it around if you have to. but don't put yourself under the bus. And a lot of people say, oh, I can't, or oh, something came up, I'm just going to sacrifice it today and do it tomorrow. Don't do that, because tomorrow you're going to sacrifice it again and again and again. And by the time you know it, you're going to be back to square one with zero time for yourself, overwhelmed and tired on top of it.
And resentful because you didn't have that time. Yeah. And then you're going to get mad with yourself. What I really liked your suggestion was, many of us get stuck into this rut of routines. You get up at a certain time, you do this at a certain time. And I mean, I can be guilty of that as well. But finding 15 minutes in the day, it doesn't have to be always in the morning. It could be in the afternoon. It could be at night. I love that suggestion, because people, oh no, I can only do when the kids are at school. No, when they're at home, you plop a mirror, let them do their homework, and you go into your room and close your eyes and take a moment. Because by doing it there and then when the kids are there, when you come out of that bedroom, you're going to enjoy your time with the kids. Because if you did it at 15 minutes at breakfast, they went to school, they come back, you might be stressed because you had a long day at work. Now the kids are there, they're getting on your nerves because you're trying to make supper, you're trying to do something. So being more flexible with that option to when to do it is a great idea.
You know, it's going
to be different things. Like the morning could be a meditation, in the afternoon you can, I don't know, punch a pillow. I don't know, like whatever.
Yes, so that's a good idea. That could be one too. That could be very wholesome for some people. You know what's going to happen the more you do it? The more you do it consistently, the more it's going to become a healthy life habit. And once you've done it 15 minutes, you will suddenly realize that you're finding time to do it, like you said, maybe twice a day. Maybe that 15 minutes transforms into 20 minutes. Maybe you'll be able to steal another 5 minutes at some point. It's 25 minutes. So at first it looks crazy because our life is in disarray. It's chaos. We have all this work, this family, these responsibilities. I'm also a volunteer firefighter. Sometimes I've got these calls that some I take, some I can't make. So you got to decide, right? But sometimes it's things that just come in and they crash in the middle of your day. You got to make the time. You got to make the time at some place, sometime. And it will be easier. It'll be easier to find that time. You're training yourself to make time for yourself, to be that healthy boundary. And your life is going to look better. I guarantee, I mean, if I could sell you a guarantee, I would. Life guarantee. Insurance. If you take care of yourself, you will get positive benefits. I have never heard so far anybody that I've ever met, friends or family or even strangers, that have told me like, you know, I started taking care of myself and my life went downhill.
No, and it doesn't happen. And the other thing I find that works for me is if you do carve the 10, 15 or 30 minutes, whatever it is, I play with time. I don't know if you have that capacity to do that. I find I can go into a meditation or into a focus, and what normally would have taken me maybe 20 minutes, I can shrink it down in 5, and I don't even realize I can be doing it sometimes. Has that ever happened to you where you kind of play with the time and then you look, you go, wow, that was only 5 minutes. Oh, wow, that was 30 minutes that passed. Like I find sense of time varies.
It's more the opposite actually for me.
Oh, yeah?
Like, all right, I'm gonna, let's say this morning I had a lot of stuff to do. I try to do an hour meditation every morning and half hour in the night, right? That's my goal. So I work for myself, work from home. I don't have to drive anywhere. So I have this time that I'm taking in the morning.
Right.
But sometimes I have something in the morning. I have to prepare for an interview during the afternoon. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make it 30 minutes instead. So I'm standing up my head, I'm gonna do 30 minutes. I go into meditation and I realize, oh, it's been already 50 minutes and I don't realize that time passes because it's so fun. So I have the opposite.
You see, but that's okay, because if it works for you, you came out, you look great today. You're glowing, you're smiling. I mean, we talked about this quickly before coming online, how much more vibrant you look. I don't think I've ever seen you this happy.
But thank you.
Like together.
My husband said the same yesterday, so it must be something to it. Taking time for yourself and still attending to your responsibilities. I think one parenthesis I would make here is that some people use meditation and hobbies to escape their responsibilities. That's not what I'm personally advocating for. I'm advocating carving that time so that you can do your work better. You can bring more awareness, more consciousness and happiness into your work because it will impact your work. As long as you don't just, put blinders back on and be like, okay, everything I just did this morning, I'll forget about it. And, no, you want to bring it in. You want to bring that joy. You want to speak to your clients and your friends, your family from the heart, from the peace, from whatever that you've gained from that practice. You wanted to
I
try
also find in doing that, that chatter, that noise, that hamster wheel running, it's kind of gone, because by investing in your time, you get rid of that noise. So when you have work to do or people to see or talk or an interview or whatever you're doing, you're calmer. You're more present as well. So you're not thinking of what you should have been doing or should be doing, or you're not bouncing in time. You're really more in the now. And
that's true.
yeah. And I mean, everybody talks about living in the now. It's easy to say, but it's not always easy to do. But if you can strive for that by getting rid of that nervous energy.
I think that's great. That's a great advice. And I would tie it in with healthy boundaries in your mind. This is not something people talk about. We think of it externally, right? Which is super important. But in your own mind, you have processes, and some of them is the hamster wheel of anxiety. It's going to be like, am I doing the thing? What is this person thinking right now? Is he thinking this about me? Oh, should I be doing this instead? Oh, infinite amount of anxiety-inducing thoughts. Your brain is great at producing them, and by your mind, like you mentioned, it's going to in yogic philosophy, which is something I read a lot about, they're talking about the fluctuations of the waves of the mind, right? The mind or the soul, the spirit, whatever you want to call it. It could be the overmind, whatever word you use for it. That's like the ocean. And when your mind is active, it's producing waves. So it's becoming and then they crash against each other. You want to calm that down so you can actually enjoy the ride of life a little bit more and not have a lot of these thoughts are actually not useful. They're very distracting. I'm not going to use the word negative to describe them, because it's not that they're negative per se. It's just that they come from a place of fear, a place of worry, a place of restlessness. And all these things are not helpful to you living a happy life. In fact, they're not, 90% of the time, they're not helpful to making your life better at all. We don't live in a world where there's a lion standing behind me about to eat me that I need to run any moment. We don't live in that reality. So
not anymore.
Not anymore. It's been a while. It's been a long time. I mean, for us.
What we have behind us is our families, our work, our clients. Yeah, those over demanding clients who think they can pick up the phone and call you and expect you to drop everything. Yes. But fortunately, where I'm now, I have great clients. They're calmer. The more it seems they're less under the gun. So you kind of attract, because with our waves, our energy we send out, we bring back, right? So we attract different people.
Absolutely, 100%. Since I started taking more care of myself in more meaningful ways, I feel the people that have been attracted to working with me, and just friends even, it's been really wonderful. And people that are not on the same plane, and I don't want to say that they're negative, but sometimes they are more like stress, and they everybody around them, they kind of either vanish or they change, which is something I've seen happen recently. People that I never I never have expectations of people, but I never thought they would change so fast. They've been adopting healthier habits. They've been talking about meditation. I've never heard them talk about it before until talking about
there's a general awakening going on, with everybody was stuck at home. So people looked within a bit more, I think, because they couldn't venture out. And so people took the time and realized what's important in life, right? Your health. Yes. And it's not always physical. It's, your health, by the time your body's not well, your spiritual and emotional has impacted the physical. So many times people think, I've got a heart problem or I'm overweight. It's not because you're eating too much. It's because you're nervous or somebody's bothering you and you're anxious. So you start to eat, and the eating becomes physical in putting on the weight. So if you calm down that relationship or set up stronger boundaries, or able to manage those relationships better, you're not going to reach for that extra bag of chips or whatever, ice cream, whatever, cake, that you like. So people, I've noticed, it seems like people are just balancing, trying to find a balance. The balance is more like, a lot of people here in Montreal now are starting to commute from home, don't commute from for work, so they work from home, I should say. So that's giving them more time. And it's funny, there's been even a shift in housing in Montreal. I don't know how it is in Austin. A lot of the people have moved outside of the downtown core because they're working from home. So they bought homes further out to spend more time with family. They don't have to commute, or they go in 1 or 2 days a week. So there's been this whole shift. And once they were stuck at home, they realized, oh, I kind of like this. I don't need to get up every day, you know, and the balance and the boundaries are that, okay, I can go for a couple of days a week because I get to see my friends at work and I interact, especially if you're working in teams. It's nice to see people and exchange energy because it's positive to create and inspire you. But then there's this other part, well, you don't have to fight the traffic. You don't have to get up earlier. There's more time for yourself to meditate, spend with your family and friends, and calm your mind down.
That's true. That frees up a lot of time for people. It has to be wisely. You mentioned people seeking balance, and I think that is the best case scenario. There, you have to be careful because some people may have used that time also to seek distractions. So it's always the choice that we have. Where do we put our time and energy? Are we using them wisely? It's something I've started asking myself recently, that I was inspired to do during a meditation, is ask myself, whenever I undertake a task, even a small task, you know, something mundane, is this a good use of my time? And I find out I can spot bad habits a little bit easier like that and be like, put a stop to it. Is this a good use of my time? Me spending time in the mirror trying to, for example, see, oh, do I have flaws on my face? Like, no, this is not good. This is not a good use of my time worrying about that. Just do the skincare thing, take care of your skin, shower, pamper yourself, move on to the next thing. Don't worry.
You're good. Well, maybe this might be a good time for me to pull a card.
Yes, I was gonna mention at some point. I wanted to see what you would say for today.
Yeah, I was inspired today to pick out the Oracle of the Angels deck. It says Healing Images and Messages from the Angelic Realm by Maria Duguay. It's fun because I've been reading Oracle cards now actively for about 7 years and professionally for about a year, where I'm producing YouTube videos and I've incorporated in my business. This deck of cards was something that was purchased specifically to share in groups. Yeah, so either if I was going to be presenting in front of a team or online. I mean, at the time when I bought this, when did I buy it? Because when I buy my decks of cards, I always put a date. So
wow.
Yeah, I timestamp them.
Wow.
Yeah, and what I normally do is not only I timestamp them, I cleanse the box. I use my bay leaf to clean the energy, because when the box travels from the producer, it's touched by many hands, by the artists, the assemblers, the mailman, or the UPS guy. So by the time it comes to my house, it can be quite traumatized. So that's the way I see it.
Especially if it's shipped by UPS or Canada Post, going to be thrown around. It's crying.
Bumped around, and who knows the energy to come in. So I take care of my decks of cards, and what I do then is I shuffle the deck and I let the cards flip. I love it when they jump out, and when they flip, the first reading, I take a picture of it, so that when I go back to it, sometimes it's interesting to see what it says. And so what I want to do today is do a reading for us. I'll let a card flip. So here's a deck of cards. It's a beautiful deck, and it looks like a sword that's embedded in crystals here. And I guess you've got to be a very powerful angel to be able to probably pull it out of that crystal. So I knock the deck to remove any energy from any previous reading, so it's exclusive for us. So let's see what it says. And what I love about these cards is they're very gentle, and different cards have different personalities, I find. So I even actually store my decks in different places, because some seem to be kind of, there seems to be a bit of friction between them. So it's funny. It could be, it's really funny. And some cards you read and they make no sense, because I've tried all kinds of random samples and they don't make any sense. So let's see what the message is for us today. Okay. Oh my gosh, that's interesting. It comes out of positive intentions.
That's very good.
It really goes well with what we're doing here today. And it's so funny because the first thing that jumped out of me were the flowers, and you could see the flowers here. And she also has fruit, and she's outside with horses. So she's out there enjoying herself. So this person's actually taking care of herself. She's probably had set up healthy boundaries. And isn't it funny? There's actually a fence around her.
Oh,
There's a little fence there.
oh yeah, there's a little structure there, definitely.
Yeah, so it's like a bit of a boundary. So she's in control because there isn't a gate on the fence. There's just a fence, and the horses are roaming free as well, and they're not running away. So they're very calm. So what I'll do is I'll read what the book says, but that's a few things that popped at me. So it's obvious that, you know, we need to care for ourselves, positive intentions to start the day, and then we have a better day. Okay, so it says, everything that happens to you and everything that comes to you in life is a result of an intention. How many times did you use the word intention today? A seed planted at some point in the past that is now coming to fruition. Be conscious of the seeds you are planting today with your thoughts, energy, and actions to ensure that your dreams and desires can become a reality tomorrow. Remember, we reap what we sow.
That's wonderful. That's
so beautiful. It's so apropos to our conversation. It's amazing, huh?
Yeah, then you make time for yourselves, and you invest in what you want, self-care, right? Self-growth, and you'll reap growth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just looking at the card to see if there's any other messages. And the final message I said is I was feeling a lot of tranquility and serenity. If you look at the woman there, she's smiling. I don't know if you can see that smile on her. She's in complete bliss and peace.
Yes.
So with that, I would leave us with this. And I was wondering, how can people, maybe you want to share with people how they can reach you? They want to work with you, because I would highly recommend Tina as a graphic artist, web developer, e-commerce. I can attest to her expertise and her creative genius, actually.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, so obviously we have a website. I see I'm so overwhelmed. I haven't updated it in a while, but I'm about to. It's I'm putting it at the top of my to-do, right? Because working for other people, you gotta learn, okay, Tina, stop. Healthy boundary. Work on yourself as well. So it's actually vervex.ca, vervex.ca. You can also find us on, we have a Facebook page. I have an Instagram, look for Vervex or Vervex Art. Yeah, I mean, that would be that. That would be, email is vervex@vervex.ca. Anybody who needs services for online marketing, especially if you're in the skincare and wellness area, this is what we've been focusing on for the last few years. It's been really great. Positive change in the world, and trying to merge that with business, right? How can we use business
Absolutely.
to positive change?
So what I'll do is I'll put that all in the description below, so everybody will be able to find it for you. And there's no reason why people wouldn't want to maybe even work for you, since you're overworked, right? You might find somebody who's looking for a job. You never know, right?
Who knows? Who knows? I definitely been thinking about getting somebody to assist me. But honestly, one of the biggest challenges right now is with, well, as we're recording this is 2022, inflation's pretty crazy. I think everybody in the industry is wondering, how much do I charge now? Like in the United States alone, the conservative estimate is 7% inflation in the last 3 months. So like, you know, you're trying to balance out like the finances, how much you charge your clients, but everybody has the same problem at the same time. So if you hire, pay them, you know, and it's all a big little business thoughts and problems. But I think I'm going to be presented with the right person at the right time to help us grow.
Oh, I'm sure.
I really trust.
Put in the positive intention out there to the universe, so we get the person.
Totally. Every day.
So thank you so much, Tina. I love you and I miss you, Montreal. I drive by your old place very often because it's on my way to Costco, and I think of you. And
well,
yes, and thank you for accepting to meet with me today. And we'll
thank you.
Bye.
Been awesome. Bye.
Bye.